Welcome in, everybody. It's the Dynasty Stock Market with Biggs and Key. It's a Tuesday. For me, it's still Tuesday morning. For Key, it's Tuesday afternoon. For you, wherever you're at, it's one of those two. Welcome. We're here to talk about some. We got some rookie fatigue going on. I think. I do anyway. I'm starting to get real tired of listening to the rookie hype. We've been focused on it since January. And it's starting to get to the point where I have blinders on for some of the vets out here in these fantasy streets, and I'm starting to forget about them. And I don't want that to happen. And so we're here to talk over the course of the next hour across a few platforms. We got Dynasty Daddy queued up. That's an aggregate website that's based on trade values and drafts and things like that. It's kind of fan sourced, kind of like Keep Trade Cut, but Keep Trade Cut is just one element of it. It doesn't use Keep Trade Cut as its be all end all. It's just an element. And then we got some player profiler rankings. We got some fast draft ADPs. How you doing, Key?
Man, I'm doing great. You're right. It's just rookies all the time. And hey, right now I'm excited because another rookie's coming to Dallas. Mavericks just got the number one pick in the lottery. And that's enough basketball talk. But I was also in a lottery for a fantasy league last night as well. They timed it up perfectly. And basically the bottom 6 teams are in a draw for who gets the 101. All the rest of the picks are unaffected, but I ended up winning that too. So I kind of hit the double lottery. I got Ashton Genty going to get my first share. I'm excited. And I think I'm in 6 drafts right now. Some of them have just ended, but it's rookies all the time right now.
Yeah, I'm only in 2 at the moment. One is a 14-team league, and it's a redraft. The other is an 18-team best ball. That's the Andrew Koopa Fiasco, who was on the show before. That's his Fantasy Cares Eliminator, where I drew the 101. So I'm 36 picks between my 2 double taps, and I just got sniped for Geno Smith.
Nothing like the feeling of waiting 30 picks to then have to wait another 30 picks.
Yeah. I was intending to take Geno Smith with the first pick. I took Jalen Hurts simply because the scoring rules give rushing points to quarterbacks, so it's a premium on rushing quarterbacks. So with the 1 and the 36, I had to go quarterback, and then all the other quarterbacks went. So I did what I typically do in redraft. I wait until usually around the 10th or 11th round to start looking at quarterbacks. But in this one, it's like rushing such a premium. So Geno Smith usually rushes for about 200-300 yards a season, which is not optimal, but it's not base. It's not Aiden O'Connell or something like that. And he got taken right before my pick. So I kind of pivoted and went, Daniel Jones, I guess. And so that doesn't make me feel good in my stomach, but it is what it is.
A second to get Geno if you want him back, according
What's
to
that?
Daddy. Looks like it only costs you a second to get Geno if you really want him.
Oh, there's no trades. Yeah. So in my other leagues, and in dynasty startups and redraft stuff, I'm pretty much hammering Geno everywhere I go. But in this one is a little bit suspect. The 2 leagues that I'm drafting in right now are both 8-hour clock slow drafts with obscure scoring rules. So like the eliminator, you have to take a coach, you have to take a punter. There's DB scoring.
Awesome.
It's wild. The other one is IDP. I mean, it's just so my brain is all over the map right now, which is why I kind of wanted to do this because I've been doing a whole lot of rookie drafts and rookie mocking, but I'm starting to lose the thread on some of these veteran ADPs. So if we look at the quarterback situation first, we go all the way down to QB 15 before we get to Cam Ward. But once we get to Cam Ward at QB 15, and this is according to Dynasty Daddy in superflex leagues, right after Cam Ward, and I'm going to read these names and then pose a question to you. We've got bookends, Cameron Ward and Jackson Dart, and between them we have J.J. McCarthy, Trevor Lawrence, Brock Purdy, Michael Penix, Jared Goff, Bryce Young, Dak Prescott, Justin Fields, Tua Tagovailoa. Then we get to Dart. So that's a run of quarterbacks that I feel I'm I would be willing to pull the trigger on every single one of them before Cam Ward. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, because the weapons at Tennessee, they historically have been bad. We do like Ridley, but if you just look at Ridley over the course of his career and you're just like, how many wide receiver one seasons did he had? That's not going to stand out to you, regardless of the situations that we know he went through. There's no one else to even speak of other than rookies, really. They're going to get opportunities, but the rest of these quarterbacks all have weapons for days.
Um,
Like, you know,
Traylon Burks' shade will not be accepted
okay.
in this room.
I did try not to mention him as much as possible because when you get burned that bad, it's rough. Luckily, I was able to get him off of my roster in a trade to somehow claw back Garrett Wilson before it was too obvious. But hey, look, Penix has Drake London. I'm not even going to name all the weapons here. Lawrence, he just added another weapon. Come on now, Purdy's got players over there. All of these quarterbacks just have so much going for them that I don't really need to take the new hotness. I'll stick to my Kyler Murray, who's been a quarterback one on a points per game basis his whole career, or any of these guys really right around there. I'm excited to get Trevor Lawrence on basically the bottom. You know, his value's gone up a little bit, but at the end of the day, I'm not taking Cam Ward over a lot of these guys.
Well, Kyler and Baker Murray are just immediately ahead of Cam Ward. So is Jordan Love. Um, so really, Jordan Love is the QB 12. So they've got Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield on the outside looking in. I feel like both of those guys definitely have the ceiling to finish in that top 12. But when I go through this list, yes, JJ McCarthy is an unknown at this point. I don't know if I'd be willing to bank on him, but I still think that he has a little bit more promise at this point than Ward does. We know his rushing upside from Michigan and his arm strength, plus the fact that he's in Kevin O'Connell's system. They just added Ty Felton. He's got JJ. He's got Hawkinson. He's got Jordan Addison for how long we don't know, but he basically Kevin O'Connell is going to keep him safe, right? He's insulated by Kevin O'Connell. Like you said, Trevor Lawrence, he just added a new super weapon. Brock Purdy is constantly, and according to Fantasy Points data, one of the stickiest and most effective tools to look at for quarterbacks is fantasy points per dropback, and Brock Purdy is typically in the top 5 every single year in that. It doesn't always translate, but like to total fantasy points for him, but he's always in the mix, right? And then you have Penix, who, like we know, has a big arm and he's got some talent. Jared Goff at QB 20. Now, this is basically the back end of your top 20, and Detroit they're gonna do some things with Jared Goff. Now, losing their offensive coordinator might hurt, but then you look at what they added in Isaac Tesla. You got Jameson Williams, who's on the precipice of a huge breakout. Sam Laporte is there. So I still like Jared Goff's situation. And then we got Bryce Young, who he's on the come up. Dak Prescott, who he's anywhere from QB 5 to QB 15, depending on what kind of injury season, what injuries the Cowboys are dealing with. Are they going to establish a run game to help him out a little bit with Jaden Blue or with some of the vets, Javante and Devin Dingleberry? And then you've got Justin Fields coming in at quarterback 23 with the cheat code rushing upside, the new contract, and basically the Jets, signaling this is our guy. And we know what Justin Fields can do. He's a top 10 quarterback with his rushing upside. Then we get to Tua, who's a big question mark for me and always will be, and then Jackson Dart. So let's talk about that. We got Tua Tagovailoa, Jackson Dart, Sam Darnold, and Anthony Richardson right there in the 24, 25, 26. I'm leaning Jackson Dart over
Ooh.
Tungavaloa.
Yeah, the injury risk unnecessary. You don't have to take that risk. Just get a young, healthy guy who's got a very talented weapon in Malik Neighbors, and he's young and healthy as well. I guess I was skipping the fact that Tyreek Hill's also kind of has his own volatility. So there's just so many reasons to where you could just point your team towards the future by going with Jackson Dart instead of Tua. You know, Tua can put up top 5 numbers if he's just going off and everything is clicking, but without the rushing floor, there's that floor. It's just you're just hoping for the ceiling because you're rarely going to get that, and definitely not on a consistent basis. And the value is just a lot lower in the trade market. So I'm definitely willing to take a shot on Dart and to pull you even further into the rookie madness that you've been trying to climb your way out of. And when you're at the 1-2 turn in a rookie mock draft, I mean, where are you hitting the button on Jackson Dart? I see him consistently fall to the 2-2 range. Some people do take him in the first round right at the end. Are you just going to trade that pick for one of these veteran quarterbacks to tie it all in together, or are you going Jackson Dart and let's use someone else instead of Tua?
In Dynasty Superflex, I'm smashing Jackson Dart. I might be over my skis on him, and I might be more hyped on him than anybody else, but I have him in the 105 to 107 value. And he's typically being drafted after that. So if I'm in the 105 or 107, I might be looking to trade back a little bit, pick up a second or a third round pick, move back a little bit in the first round and take Dart. But I don't have a problem pushing the button at 5, 6, or 7 simply because A, he's a quarterback and they hold value. B, he essentially is in line to get the starting job at some point in 2025, unless we have a miracle performance from Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston. And then he's got the rushing upside to go with it. So I think he's undervalued in rookie drafts. And I don't have a problem for myself, for my own teams, drafting him in the 5, 6, 7 range. As far as him starting the season, I don't know if that's going to happen, but it's similar to what we thought we were going to see from JJ McCarthy last year, what happened with Michael Penix. It's just a matter of time. And so he will get on the field. I'm taking him earlier than I probably should in a lot of drafts. When I look at this landscape and I see right behind him Sam Darnold, Anthony Richardson, Geno Smith, and Matthew Stafford, in Dynasty, if I'm in a startup, I'm probably going to go Darnold and Geno over him, but I don't know about Stafford. Stafford, I think I would still take Dart over Stafford. But then Anthony Richardson is the curious one. What are
Oh,
our
yeah.
thoughts on Anthony Richardson this year? He's at quarterback 27. He's been in the top 10 in the last 2 seasons simply because of his upside, but he's fallen all the way to QB 27.
Yeah.
Are we slotting him in there? Are we just like, I mean, I just took Daniel Jones in a draft thinking that, there's a possibility he's going to be the starter and not Richardson. So what
All
are we
right.
doing with Anthony Richardson?
I love this question because it's so early in the season, off season, where I can plant a flag and say, you guys got to be drafting Anthony Richardson. And in Dynasty, we get these moments where guys are just undervalued. We don't know that they're undervalued. We may just be like, yeah, he sucks, and let's avoid. But this happens every year where whatever we think is going to happen, it's going to get flipped on its head. And if you're telling me that Justin Fields could meander his way through his fantasy career arc to have multiple spike weeks and stretches of months, I think Anthony Richardson can do the same because I think a lot of it was injury related. When he's on the field, he's scoring. I haven't seen him be on the field and not scoring a lot of points. It's
Right.
usually he's not on the field. If you're telling me I luck into a healthy Anthony Richardson season, I think that coaching staff is more likely to want to give him the ball more often than not and just ride out this final season to make sure they can move on to the next chapter, because I don't think Daniel Jones is the future of that organization. So instead of just leaning on him because we're taking the keys back, he's got to get benched. I think we can see a benching happen, but we might find it to where he gets another opportunity at the end of the year, even if he gets benched, to find out, which should line up for the fantasy playoffs. But my main point is if he's healthy, I think he's playing. And so wherever you've got Fields, yeah, they're pretty close to each other. I'm fine with both, and especially in redraft, I'm happy to take that chance since there's plenty of backups on the waivers. But for Dynasty, I can't give up yet. So any of these guys below him that don't have much long-term stability or rushing upside, then I'm out on. So I do want to take that stab on Richardson over Stafford. Clearly, Dart, I like the youth that he's got. Okay, Bryce Young showed me enough. I'm fine with a lot of these guys over him because I know what that production is. You mentioned Dak. The value sucks, but he's producing when he's out there. So
Yeah.
I'm totally fine with keeping Richardson below all of them. Just even if he was going bonkers, like I might just want to know that I'm getting that. But like Stafford, I just can't. There's not enough time left in the clock for him. Tua, just so many injuries. The flags are already showing them. So for those guys, so I like where Richardson's at. I'm not running from him. I see he's trending down right now, but I'm fine just getting Richardson, and the value's low. You can get him without killing your team or anything like that. So this is a guy that I would say is a must target, Anthony Richardson.
And in defense of my Daniel Jones pick, Anthony Richardson wasn't there. So it was
Yeah.
a pure dart
Later.
throw, a pure
Okay.
lottery
You're
ticket.
not planting that flag where it's Daniel Jones over Richardson,
Right.
which could happen. It's just you don't have to take him that early.
Now,
But
in the other league that I was discussing, it's the 14 team big play bonus. Uh, we are in round 12, and Anthony Richardson is still on the board.
okay.
So Jackson Dart has gone already. Ooh, look at that! I took him. Michael Penix is gone. Bryce Young is gone. Russell Wilson is gone. Tua's gone. Darnold's gone. But Anthony Richardson is still there. All right. Now
Yeah.
we have after we hit Stafford, we start getting into the 30s, and we've got a cluster of rookies at 30, 31, 32, and 34. And that's Milroe, Sanders, Shuck, and Howard. Right in the middle there at 33 is Russell Wilson. It's interesting that Wilson is almost 10 spots below Jackson Dart, but I'm here for it. Milroe, Sanders, Shuck. Milroe might, I mean, he's got the rushing upside. He's got the cheat code, but Darnold is the starter at this point. Shador, we don't even know if he's going to make the team. He's got 5th round draft capital, which is not ideal, and he's got Dylan Gabriel with higher draft capital. They've also got another quarterback in house. We don't know if he's going to be QB3, QB4, QB2. We don't know what's going to happen in Cleveland. And then Tyler Shuck, we had the retirement of Derek Carr, shockingly over the last week. Shuck is starting to rise. I've seen him go as high as the 3-1 in rookie drafts. What are we doing with Tyler Shuck? I think he's the starter in New Orleans.
I agree. And I want to expand the question because for me, he's not someone that I want on my team, really. Of the names you mentioned, I only want Jalen Milroe since he does have that rushing upside and was the quarterback who had some of the best testing numbers we've seen at the combine. These other guys, I could see them as a QB3 on my team. So, yeah, you can draft them. I might even think that the value hasn't gone up high enough on Shuck yet, to be honest, because I think there's a lot of people that have shared the same kind of vibe. They're like, well, he's gonna suck. The Saints are awful. Like I have a feeling his value hasn't gotten to the point where it's like, all right, like sure, I'll take it because he's a quarterback and he's starting. I
Right.
do expect him to start, so I'm fine getting Shuck right now because I don't think he's overvalued, and he'll be a starter. I'm worried about the production I'll get out of him, but I will get Shuck. I don't. Again, the value just hasn't gotten to the point where it's unobtainable. He's still kind of getting disrespected a lot.
Yeah, would you be more comfortable with him as your QB3 or QB4?
I'll take him as a QB3 because I've gone through seasons where it was lean and I survived with my top two quarterbacks, especially if it's super flex. You can figure it out if you've got a good running back as that super flex just to make it by. I literally scraped by, won a title with Joe Flacco in the lineup. So I'm fine if I go into the season with three healthy quarterbacks and my third one is Shuck. Um, I think he'll get an opportunity to start. It could be rough, but also going into I think we have 4 months until week 1. That's a lot of time to go ahead and trade this guy too. If the
Right.
narrative kind of swings in the offseason, I think we're still on the very early part. Like, yes, we just did a huge climb up. His value is shot up, but not. He's getting totally disrespected right now still. So there's still more room to grow for his value to climb for in any other injury to happen. So I think totally get this guy as a QB3. I didn't really I've admitted that with the quarterback evaluation, I'm not confident in being like, yeah, I know this guy's gonna be great right out of the gate. So I don't want to put my flag on that. I can't remember if you got a chance to see this guy, if he was at the Senior Bowl,
Yeah.
but I don't have thoughts on his actual play. It's just opportunity. If he's going to be playing, then I'm totally fine as him as the QB3 on my team.
Well, the concern has never been about his talent, it's been about his injury history, and he's an older prospect because he's had some pretty catastrophic injuries. Well, look at the Saints. Derek Carr just retired because of a
Yeah, brutal.
catastrophic injury.
And
So,
Breeze too was limping out.
I in one of my expert leagues, Greinberg and I co-own a team, and we went into
Shout out
the
Grandberg.
season, and our quarterbacks were Dak and Jalen Hurts, and that was about it. So we hit the Tyler Shuck button at the 3-1, and
Yeah.
then we went Tanner McKee off waivers, and we drafted Kyle McCord in the 5th round, simply because in that Eagles room, we now have all of the Eagles quarterbacks. If anything happens, if Hurts is Hurts and he's fine, then we have Jalen Hurts. If he gets hurt and they go with McKee for a short period of time, then we have that. If they decided to move to McCord, which I think is what's going to happen, based on his draft capital and everything, what the kinds of things that have come out of Eagles camp about how they feel about McCord, who also led all of college football last year in completions and yards. I think that there's a range of outcomes that Kyle McCord is the number 1 rookie quarterback in fantasy points this year. But I'm kind of
Ooh.
crazy.
Well,
I mean, it's going to take, a serious injury to Jalen Hurts and McCord early in the season, and McCord take over and his big arm be showcased. But I think that's not out of the realm of possibility, is what I'm saying.
all right, and I think we're about ready to roll on.
Yeah, get to running back.
I do want to ask just real quick, any thoughts on Will Howard? Just no quarterback with the Steelers yet. Are you just buy low 5th rounder and see what happens?
I don't know what happens in Pittsburgh if Aaron Rodgers decides to go somewhere else. I don't know if Howard is like what I don't I Pittsburgh's in a rough spot. Aaron Rodgers has a whole lot of leverage right now simply because Pittsburgh didn't do the right thing and draft a talented quarterback high. They waited and grabbed Will Howard. What are they going to do? They're over a barrel. Aaron Rodgers can basically do whatever he wants at this point
Yeah.
because what is their pivot move, right? Who are the free agents that are out there? What trade would they
It's just
have to
Kirk
make?
Cousins to make a trade. That's about it.
Right. So, and how expensive would Kirk Cousins be on the second year of that huge contract? I
Man.
mean, it's just like they really shot themselves in the foot with that
Yeah.
one. And I
I was
don't
looking at
know.
that list. They should have got Joe Milton, or I don't know if he's good enough, but I would have taken a shot on him. Cowboys ended up trading for him, but
I think their go-to move is grab O'Connell from Vegas.
all right. You would love that. Get a
No,
little value there.
They're not getting anything for him, but all right. Let's move on to running backs, but before that, um, we, we're going to talk about fast draft for a second. Do you like to draft? Do you
Yes,
want to
sir.
draft faster?
Oh
Draft
yeah.
faster with fast draft. Go to fastdraft.app and use the promo code BOOTH, BOOTH. Get a $50 deposit match. Fast draft is the fastest growing best ball game in the industry right now. It's phenomenal. I'm gonna let Alex push the button on the commercial that we want to play, but because I don't know what we're doing this week. So
All right.
go
Appreciate
ahead
it.
and hit that.
Rookie. It's all about rookie talk in fantasy football right now. So why not go use all that knowledge to do something other than a mock draft? Chris Jimino won $8,000 with just 2 teams last year, and each draft took 5 minutes. That's pretty good ROI. You can start doing rookie drafts for money today on Fast Draft. The Origins tournament is live. It is the place to go and monetize your knowledge of rookies and use your favorite player profiler host promo code for a $25 deposit match. Now let's go start drafting faster.
And it's now a $50 deposit match. So let's go start drafting faster. And we were talking about these running backs, and we've got, count them up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 running backs right now ranked inside the top 16 running backs overall in Dynasty. And the next running back actually is Bashal Tootin at 21. So just outside of the top 20 there. And that was kind of surprising, but super athletic. And we're all about the metrics here at Player Profiler. You see Genty at the top, and Amari Hampton there, sandwiches Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs, who are at 2 and 3. But then you've got Henderson at 8, Quinshon Judkins at 12, Caleb Johnson 13, RJ Harvey at 16. And I'm going to leave this up just a little bit longer because on Fast Draft, you got Ashton Genty, who's going at 14, but it's all the way down at pick 42 that you see Amari Hampton, which to me I thought was interesting because if we love all these guys in Dynasty so much, like it looks like in redraft, we actually really favor a lot of these veteran running backs a lot more. And maybe we can talk about that phenomenon a little bit more, but I want to quickly highlight the AFC East. I just noticed how close all of these different values were. You've got Devon Chan at 5, Brees Hall at 7, Trayvon Henderson at 8. So that's the rookie. And then James Cook way down there at 17, who I actually think he might have the most points last year out of all of 4 of these guys. So kind of funny how the value shakes out. But when you take a look here, guys, I've got Fast Draft pulled up, just the ADP, and that's what I was talking about. You've got Genty here at 14, down at 42 is Amari Hampton, and so they clearly like all of these other players. So I just scrolled by James Cook at 30. We had Brees Hall going at 25. So clearly people like a lot of these veteran backs, but in Dynasty, it's almost like they're completely toast and they're getting faded down here. Trayvon Henderson at 54. So other than Genty, it's basically only Genty, Amari Hampton, and Trayvon, and then Quinshon Judkins, who are even getting drafted on a regular basis because you're really only getting the top 60 players here in Fast Draft. So what does that say about how the people who are playing for real money are valuing these rookies versus the veterans, and how does that kind of impact what we should be thinking from a dynasty perspective?
Well, it's fairly similar over on Dynasty Daddy. One of the names that's standing out for me right there is Tony Pollard. The Titans did nothing for their running back room in the draft. I think Tony Pollard is an extreme value right now. Caleb Johnson does have he's got the upside to be able to be the bell cow in Pittsburgh. And then Brian Robinson right there. I love him too. That's another situation where the Commanders did not do anything in the draft, and Brian Robinson is the guy. So those two guys, Pollard and Robinson, I think they're getting short shrift at this point. I think that I would be more willing to count on them than to count on a running back who might be in a backfield split. I love Omarion Hampton, but he's in an offense with Najee Harris, who just signed a big free agent contract. We know that they're both going to get a lot of carries, but we don't know what their usage rates are going to be at this point. Is Omarion Hampton, is he the kind of guy that could go out and his talent will, push Najee Harris down? Possibly, but there is incentive for the Chargers to go with Harris a lot. I mean, he's definitely a durable back. I would fade Omarion Hampton a little bit, not based on talent, but based on the situation that he's in. We want a guy who's going to lead their team in carries. We don't know if are they going to work in the rookie slowly? Najee is an experienced running back. So that situation is just a little bit too murky for me at this point. So I'm looking at Tony Pollard and Brian Robinson and going, hey, these guys have the job. They're not going anywhere. They may not be on the best teams, but, Brian Robinson is on a playoff team. Tony Pollard isn't. But if I have a rookie quarterback in Cam Ward, am I going to lean a little bit more heavily on the running game? Yeah, that opens things up for a rookie. You saw what happened with the Raiders last year. They didn't have a running game because they didn't have a passing game. Well, those things can kind of go hand in hand. If the running game can open things up, Ward can progress as a rookie quarterback. If Ward is better than we think out of the gate, then that opens things up for Tony Pollard. So I really, really like the situations and the ADPs of Brian Robinson and Tony Pollard, and I will smash them. When it comes to Omarion Hampton, we look at where his value is and the guys that are around him at other positions. I might be taking a wide receiver before I take Omarion Hampton, and then play zero RB later.
I like it. With the other thing with, when it's redraft, that's one thing, you just pick who's there, but we're talking about targets and avoids, both for starters, but even in the trade market, it's just easier to get some of these veterans because there's just a little bit more excitement around the rookies. So you might even, be able to get an extra piece on top of some of the guys around them just to get that rookie Omarion Hampton, Xavier Worthy. Maybe you get a second on top, or what would you want on top? Even if you want to keep the same position, but what's like a little plus that's worth pivoting from? This is a 102, 103 type pick in some leagues. What would you be willing to pivot?
I'm looking for a veteran wide receiver like Chris Olave. I was able to turn a pick into Derrick Henry. I moved back and I moved my 104 for the 107 and Derrick Henry. And in Dynasty, of course, Derrick Henry right now on Dynasty Daddy, he's RB16. The end is nigh, but he's still uber productive. So I'm going to be able to get the immediate production out of him and maybe compete. I missed out on Omarion Hampton, but I was able to grab Derrick Henry and my QB of the future in Jackson Dart.
Nice. Yeah. Cool, man. I'm
looking at these RB values, and right now we've got Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs at the top, and Ashton Genty at RB3. Then Saquon Barkley, Devon Achane, and Omarion Hampton. Bucky Irving, Breece Hall, Jonathan Taylor, and Kyron Williams. That's the top 10. Travion Henderson slots in at the RB11, Josh Jacobs at the 12, and Quinshon Judkins at the 13. Talking about those top four, Saquon Barkley was the leader at the end, at the finish line last year. In Dynasty, he's older. He's 28 years old. But I'm looking at that top at Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Ashton Genty. I think that I'm going Genty over Gibbs. I wouldn't necessarily take him over Robinson at this point, but I would have Genty as my RB2.
Yeah, Tyler Algier hasn't been too much of a threat for Bijan Robinson. I feel like the offense had other issues that now there's a chance that just overall the offense can improve. Gibbs just clearly has that David Montgomery problem. That's kind
Yeah.
of what you're hinting at. So
Yeah.
with Genty, there's no problem. There's no one else
I mean,
there.
who's going to be taking carries away from Genty? Dylan Laube,
Raheem
the
Mostert.
corpse of Raheem Mostert. Like, uh, Jahmyr
Yeah,
Gibbs
it's
last year was clear RB1 in the games that David Montgomery wasn't playing. I want to say his fantasy points per game average was like in the high 20s, if not 30. But when he was on the field, when Montgomery was playing, Gibbs was RB5.
yeah. And Gibbs ended the season, and I think in PPR as the RB1. So people do feel kind of emboldened by the fact that he didn't have the full workload the whole season. It was able to accomplish that, but it's going back to him not having the full workload. And now you do need Montgomery to stay healthy for this not to pan out. And I bet you there's people that are leaning into that, thinking he's only a little bit older. That's one more injury on the belt for Montgomery. So what are the odds that he gets injured again? Go check out the injury finder. But this is just a scenario where that's not how he's built, and that's not how the team wants to run the ball, is to have it all be on Gibbs' shoulders. So if that's the identity that they have, it would have to take the new offensive coordinator really wanting to come in and change the identity for me to think they're going to use them in a different way. And I can't just bank on Montgomery getting injured. So yeah, Genty, fresh legs. That's the basis of why I would value him more in Dynasty. 2 years younger. And we've got him as the RB1. A lot of that normally is right. If you have two running backs that are almost equal, but one's 2 years younger, then you kind of want to go into Ashton Genty. And one of the things that I feel like I say more than other people is people as players have injury seasons, right? And if you've already had that big injury season, like, it's not going to always happen every single year. And we haven't seen Gibbs have that injury, knock on wood, but you're running back. Like, I can't expect him to be healthy either. We're all worried about David Montgomery being injured. Like, I'm worried about Gibbs as well. So
Sure.
it's one of those things where Genty, I prefer the fresh legs, and I want to win that first season. You get that first explosive year, his value also catapults, where we already have Gibbs, where he's going to be kind of no matter what. And yes, this could be the ceiling for Ashton Genty value wise. But if he goes out there and balls and has a crazy season, you're going to be able to do whatever you want with that asset.
And there are some players in Dynasty who their modus operandi is to draft rookie running backs, trade them away after year 3, and then have a bench that's stocked full of waiver wire pickups, 0 RB style guys who could find the field or whatever. Just kind of have a stable of running backs that aren't necessarily like the new hype, but so you take Genty now, you keep him for 3 years, you offload him, he gets his second contract somewhere. But I want to talk about maybe some of the fear in Genty, and I understand because nobody follows the Raiders as closely as I do, and over the last couple of years, we've seen different coaching situations, and last year was just an absolute abomination. And there were a lot of factors that were at play. Number one, Colton Miller was hurt entering the season, so they were shuffling around kind of a patchwork offensive line. Jackson Powers Johnson was hurt to begin the year. It took him a while. Once he got into the game, the Raiders running back started to improve. Then once Luke Getsy was offloaded, the running back game improved. Sincere McCormick averaged 5.3 yards per carry in the games that he was healthy. That was with Scott and Norv Turner running the offense. Now we've got Chip Kelly and Pete Carroll. We know how much Pete Carroll loves to run the ball. We know what Marshawn Lynch did. We know that he went out and he drafted Kenneth Walker. We know what Pete Carroll's about, right? Now we've got Genty there. The offensive line is improved. Colton Miller is fully healthy. Jackson Powers Johnson is fully healthy. They're both in their roles. Jackson Powers Johnson, who was the best center in college football in his last year, now is the starting center, and he's going to be doing it from camp. On top of that, you look at the quarterback situation last year. You had Aiden O'Connell, who was exactly mid. He was the 15th best deep passer among NFL quarterbacks. But you had Gardner Minshew, who was 25th. What does that mean? That means that Gardner Minshew, who was the starter to begin the year, was not scaring anybody with his arm. What does that lead to? That leads to loaded boxes. What do loaded boxes lead to? The lowest yards before contact among running back rooms in all of the NFL. That meant that Zamir White and Alexander Madison were not going anywhere. They were going to be stuffed in the backfield. There's a different environment now. Geno Smith can throw the ball deep. He's got speedy receivers that can take the top off. That unloads the box for Ashton Genty. He's going to have more room to work. What do we see from him in college? He had the highest 8-man box rate in all of college football. What did he do with it? 40% of his runs had a forced missed tackle. So the guy is elusive. He forces missed tackles even when guys are in his face. And he's going to have more room to run than he did when he was in college. So everything about this offense screams to me that Ashton Genty is going to be an absolute smash. And that's not bias. That's me looking at what the situation is. It's not my hope. My hope is obviously that that's the case because he's the Raiders running back. But like you look, what if Jaden Blue wins the job for the Cowboys? What is the difference between the Cowboys running back environment this year with Jaden Blue versus last year with Rico Dowdle? Doesn't it sound better for Jaden Blue than it did for Rico Dowdle?
I think there was maybe less help in the backfield. I don't know. Zeke wasn't that good last year. You must hate Sanders and Javonte Williams. I get it. So I think it's the same. I would say it's lateral, to be honest. There was not much in either year's backfield at all.
I don't hate
It's
either Williams or Sanders. I know that
there's no competition. Yeah,
Javonte Williams is not an efficient running back, and I don't know anything about Jaden Blue, but I know that Javonte Williams is not an efficient running back, and Devin Singletary couldn't keep a job in where he's been kind of knocking around the last few years. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if Jaden Blue was the RB1 out of the gate.
Oh yeah. So always got to weigh that.
But wouldn't that be a better situation for him with a healthy Dak, a healthy CD?
Oh yeah, because
Pickens in the building.
Cowboys' first draft pick was an offensive lineman. And that's their go-to year-over-year kind of foundational piece for the Cowboys. So they emphasize that a ton. I could totally see Blue being that. That I think he was on the thumbnail for the Minded Mansion earlier today as the next Bucky Irving. I think that was what the thumbnail was. Jaden Blue next Bucky Irving, something like that. So there's some believers out there. The door's wide open. The Bucky Irving situation is completely different. Like we thought there was a guy in front of him. Blue could walk in and be the day one starter.
And last year, despite the environment, Rico Dowdle was like RB 12 through 15, like in terms of efficiency, right?
So the Cowboys didn't really unleash him either. They didn't give him the full workload. They were really, I think, playing politics with Ezekiel Elliott. So I think back to your question, you're absolutely right. I take it back. It's not neutral because there's no more politics. There's no Ezekiel Elliott that you're just giving carries to for no reason. You're just going to give the ball to Blue. There's no favorites. All these guys are new to the team that are in the backfield right now.
Right. So it's going to be kind of a by merit thing. If you look better in camp, if you're a young buck, 21.3 years old, and you look like you're hitting holes quicker than Javonte Williams, if you look like you're doing more than Devin Singletary, you're going to get the job. Mike McCarthy is incentivized to keep his job. He's going to put the best team on the field.
And McCarthy's out of there now. We got Brian Schottenheimer.
That's what I meant.
So you see the tier break here. After RJ Harvey at 6, you've got a big tier break in lifetime value from 118 to 78 to Bashal Tootin. Cam Scottaboo's at 73. Then another little tier break to Jaden Blue at 43. And he's mixed in with a kind of a massive tier of other guys. Another guy who's next, the 10th guy, Woody Marks, who's in Texas as well. And we've got Dylan Sampson. These are all guys who, if the person in front of them gets injured, it's wheels up, just down the line. All of these guys.
Not to take too much noise, but from some of the rookie minicamp footage, watching Dylan Sampson and Quinshawn Judkins do drills together, there's a clear winner in that backfield.
Uh-oh, don't tell me. Don't
and
say it.
That's not Dylan Sampson.
Okay. Whew.
But when I'm looking at this list, you want to talk about a Bucky Irving for this year. I'm going Taj Brooks.
Oh, I called it. Yes.
I do like Cam Scattaboo a lot. I don't think that hiccups. I don't think that.
Before you move on with Taj Brooks, think about the Bucky Irving situation. Rachaad White was only on the team maybe a couple seasons, and I think that's similar to Chase Brown. This is his year 3, and then you got the rookie come in, and somehow, some way, a guy who puts up multiple 1,000+ yard seasons, like well above that, in Taj Brooks, comes in and as a late round guy and could take the job.
There's 2 things that I'm looking at. Number one is the draft capital, and Taj Brooks owns draft capital over Chase Brown.
Oof.
That's an incentive for the Bengals offense. The other thing is coach speak. Cincinnati Bengals coaching staff came out and they said Taj Brooks is a bowling ball covered in razor blades.
Love it.
Excuse me. I'm in chaos right now. And then the other one you had.
I'm back. Here we go. So it was Woody Marks, Dylan Sampson, Taj Brooks, Rashard Smith, Yeah.
So I'm in a league that rewards big plays. That's what we're drafting right now. I'm hammering Rashard Smith. You want somebody who's going to start to take passes. Jerick McKinnon and Rashard Smith are like analogs for each other. So you put him in that role in the Chiefs offense and boom, it's big play city.
Yeah. Talk about the person in front of you going down. Like last year when Pacheco went down, you roll out of Rashard Smith out of SMU, former wide receiver. This was the guy I was calling the next Tyrone Tracy. So I'm definitely in on that, man.
And Cam Scattaboo is my next Tyrone Tracy. And ironically, he's going to take Tyrone Tracy's job.
No. Well, unlike Rashard Smith, Rashard Smith is going very late in like the 5th round, by the way, sometimes 4th, but I see him sliding, by the way. But Cam Scattaboo is going much earlier in the 2nd round, doesn't leave the 2nd round. So huge difference in values for those guys. But yeah, Scattaboo is like a all-purpose Swiss Army knife.
Led FBS
attached to a bowling ball or whatever you want to call it.
he led FBS in receiving yards last year. That's huge. Yes, we know that Tyrone Tracy is a converted wide receiver, but that didn't really. We anticipated that playing out for him as a rookie last year. It didn't. He wasn't a revelation in the passing game, but Scattaboo comes in and he's got the size, he's got the draft capital that Tyrone Tracy didn't have. He very easily could be the RB1 to start the season.
It could be a 1-2 punch, though. I could see Tracy becoming that satellite back that he's supposed to be, because he was asked to be the running back because Devin Singletary could not do it.
Right. Yeah, we could see an Antonio Gibson type situation. All right, let's talk about wide receivers real quick here. According to Dynasty Daddy, the number 1 wide receiver among the rookies, and he slots in between A.J. Brown and Garrett Wilson, and that's Travis Hunter. Too high or too low on Travis Hunter at wide receiver 14?
And who was he between, you said?
A.J. Brown and Garrett Wilson.
Okay, so A.J. Brown and Garrett Wilson. I, in a mock, took Travis Hunter over A.J. Brown. And when you look at A.J. Brown's scoring, he's just not often a wide receiver 1. He's had that season, yes, but man, you're just not getting that on a consistent week-to-week basis. He's had those monster games, but you look at these game logs, you're just not getting that type of production from AJ Brown on a consistent basis. This offense is low pass volume, and that is not going to change. Just won them a Super Bowl. They invested in a running back. They emphasized the running game. They are in a spot where whatever the game calls for, they can pivot to that, but they are dictating that it's a run game, and the defense helps them keep it that way so they're not in these shootouts. So I don't value AJ Brown nearly as highly as anywhere I've seen. So I'm totally fine taking, yes, another wide receiver 2 in Travis Hunter, because that's the dynamic you see with the AJ Brown, Devontae Smith situation. Neither one can fully eat because not only of all the other things I said, they have each other on the opposite end. But with Brian Thomas Jr., I've seen him thrive next to Malik Neighbors. I've seen that work. And maybe Brian Thomas Jr. goes back to being that touchdown guy. Actually, in the NFL, Thomas was doing the same stuff that he was doing in college, really. So Travis Hunter could be that Malik Neighbors to Brian Thomas Jr. And let's be honest, I'm kind of looking at it as a little bit more of a mystery box situation as far as I've got this AJ Brown here, and I've got a Travis Hunter here. There's a little bit more mystery upside. Sure, he could end up playing some defense, and then that could kill some things. But it's more than just a full-on mystery. This is a super athletic freak in Travis Hunter that doesn't get tired. I like this guy. I like the investment. Number 2 overall. I mean,
the Jaguars are more heavily invested in Travis Hunter than they are in Brian Thomas Jr. Think about that, because that happens. You can have a rookie come in and overtake the previous new hype.
Do you trust that coach as far as, hey, he's the reason that Baker Mayfield offense was great? We've seen other offensive coordinators like Dave Canales also have success in the offense. Is it something else other than those coordinators? Are we giving Liam Cohen too much of the credit? That's what I'm asking.
We don't know. We don't know yet.
We don't.
Simply because we haven't seen him operate with the likes of Travis Etienne in the backfield and Brian Thomas Jr. running routes. The tight end situation is different. We know Trevor Lawrence's upside, but we don't know what he's going to,
so
what Cohen's going to do with him.
You're taking him over T-Mac.
I am not. Yes. Yeah. I think at this point you have to. I do love Tet's situation, and I have been drafting him a little bit simply because he's the wide receiver 1 in Carolina. But when we look at where he's at, he's one behind Garrett Wilson, which I'm okay with. I love Garrett Wilson. But then you go T. Higgins, Rashee Rice, Devontae Smith, and Rome Odunze. I think in Dynasty, I'm pushing Odunze up just behind McMillan. I don't know how invested I am at this point with T. Higgins, Rashee Rice, and Devontae Smith. I know Devontae Smith is underrated as far as like his efficiency is concerned, but he's in a shared situation. He's in a shared wide receiver room. You go down, you keep going, you get Zay Flowers, Xavier Worthy, DJ Moore, and dang it, stupid ad popped up, and Terry McLaurin. I'm moving Terry McLaurin up. Then you go Jordan Addison, Emeka Egbuka. I think Egbuka is fine right there. Then you get Olave, Tyreek, Jalen Waddle, and DK Metcalf. I think that's pretty good, although I'm moving Olave up. I like him a little bit better. I would take Olave over Xavier Worthy. I'd take him over Jordan Addison. I mean, you have to look at wide receiver 1. And if they get a quarterback like Tyler Shuck, who's got a huge arm, if he's a productive passer, Olave is just going to benefit from that. Then you have some murky wide receiver rooms with the Chicago guys. Like I like that situation a lot for Olave. But you did bring up something you mentioned the LSU wide receiver room and success, and down here at wide receiver 48, we have a guy named Jack Besh. And if you remember that LSU receiving room, he was a tight end. And if I'm not mistaken, he led the LSU Tigers in receptions, yards with Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr. on the field. Terrace Marshall as well. If I'm correct me if I'm wrong. I don't see that. I don't see that in the Raiders situation. I think he'll be a nice power slot backup to Jacoby Myers his rookie season. Besh, perfect at wide receiver 48. I think that's the ideal spot for him. Right at the back end of wide receiver 4
he's a must
territory.
draft. And going in like the late second round of your rookie drafts.
Yeah, I like it, but I'm not putting too much on him. I don't have high expectations for him. Let's put it that way. Another guy, wide receiver 43. What are we doing? So this is behind Cortland Sutton, but one ahead of Josh Downs, Trey Harris.
Trey Harris is in a great opportunity. We see really good talent out of Justin Herbert. You talk about good arm. This guy's got a great arm. Okay, so I think there's no area of the field that he can't get the ball, and so for me, if you have a good quarterback, it's just not every team has that, and he's on the team that has a good one. It just comes down to, do you think it's just going to be an offensive identity of run first, run heavy, which is what they leaned into last couple seasons. They've gotten offensive linemen early, and that's where they've been focusing. They have that solidified. They've obviously got their first round running back, so it actually seems like they're going more towards the run game. Okay, we saw Ladd be great. I think we saw a game with Quentin Johnston have a ton of targets. Do you remember there was like a game where you got a bunch of targets? Like they're willing to throw the ball. They're willing to throw the ball if they have the players. And I'm all in on Trey Harris as far as I think he's a good player. So I'm definitely thinking after like you see that tier break. I had him on the screen already, but there's kind of a tier break with the rookies. But in this range of guys, I'm totally fine hitting the button. Like Jacoby Myers, he's a great player. I trust that production. So it's on the contender. It does get a little tough for me. We just saw a great season on Cortland Sutton, but at some point you got to take a risk on some of these rookies. So I think for a lot of people, come down to do you think that he can coexist with Ladd, because all the other indicators are positive, I think, for Trey Harris.
Well, here's what I see for Trey Harris. I see Trey Harris being the exact type that is going to have a later than rookie breakout. A perfect comp for me with him is Quentin Johnston, and they happen to be on the same team. Now, here's my flag plant for 2025. Quentin Johnston will be 1,000-yard receiver. Here's why. Trey Harris is the perfect sacrificial X. Learn the playbook. What we saw from Quentin Johnston, I don't think Trey Harris will have the drops, but as far as his route participation is concerned, I see him running a lot of X down the field routes to open up the defense, with Ladd McConkey and his 120 to 140 targets working underneath and just being the lad that we know he can be. And Quentin Johnston, having had kind of a breakout second year, I think this year he puts it all together. It's his third year in the league. I think he fixes his route running. We saw him with a lot of he went from 2 touchdowns to 8 touchdowns over his second and third year, or first and second year. You can't really count on touchdowns to be sticky, but that's the Greg Roman offense. We know what they're willing to do with Quentin Johnston. I could see 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns from Quentin Johnston.
Wow. That's a flag plant.
Nobody sees it coming. So, it's one of those things where if you're gonna try and find the edge in the margins, Quentin Johnston could be that guy.
Yeah, and on player profiler dynasty wise, I mean, he's in the range of, I'm in a lot of deep leagues, okay, but there's some leagues where these guys are available on waivers, to be honest. So Quentin Johnston is getting close to free. And with the addition of Trey Harris over the course of the next few months, I could see Johnston just be an absolute throw-in in deals. So if you guys agree with Biggs, y'all just get some deals done. Throw them in there.
Let's pivot to tight ends real quick and get out of here. We got tight end 1 is Brock Bowers, tight end 2 is Trey McBride, tight end 3 is Sam Laporta, tight end 5 is George Kittle, Hawkinson is 6, Andrews is 8, Dalton Kincaid is still hanging in the top 12. Kyle Pitts is still tight end 10, Tucker Kraft and David Njoku. Isaiah Likely is tight end 13. We got 2 rookies in the top 12. We got Tyler Warren at tight end 4. We got Colston Loveland at tight end 7. I hate that. I don't think that either of them are top 12 tight ends this year. I feel
what about
like
Mason?
He's down there according to Dynasty Daddy. He is tight end 18, right around Evan Ingram and Cade Otton. And then Elijah Arroyo is tight end 22.
Right? We talked about him on the tight end episode last week with Andrew Cooper, and he was the only guy that we just didn't really see another wide receiver 2 on that team to get in the way. So it's almost completely contingent on can he have a fast tight end rookie season development and perform. But he was drafted, I think, as the 3rd tight end. So they're expecting him to do a lot of contributing year 1.
He and Mason Taylor is his ADP right now is 162, which that puts him in the 14th round. So if you're not coming out of your draft with Brock Bowers or Trey McBride, George Kittle in the 6th round, that there's a lot. I mean, tight end is tough to handicap, but if you're not getting one of those guys, you're looking at probably about 20 tight ends that all have the potential to finish in the top 12. I'm waiting on Mason Taylor. I'm not drafting Colston Loveland at tight end 7. That's too high for me. I'm certainly not drafting Tyler Warren at tight end 4. Those situations are too murky. The Chicago receiving core is, I mean, there's too many mouths to feed. And Tyler Warren, maybe now, I mean, what's best case scenario for Warren? Is it Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson? I don't think either of those is ideal for him. So I don't think I'm willing to do that with any of the rookies. The first tight end of the rookie class that I'd be willing to draft is probably Mason Taylor at value.
Yeah. Because he is going late in the 14th round, like you said. So, I think that makes sense. And for redraft, you can just wait. And he's going at the end of the 2nd round in drafts. I've seen him in some like 301 range. He doesn't really get too much further than that, but I bet he goes a little bit further in some. That's all I would really want to target. But I have done enough drafts to see a Harold Fannin Jr. Late into the 4th round. So that's it. Gadsden, I just saw him go in the 5th round. As much as we talk about those two, especially after last week, these are other guys that you should definitely target. I think there's a big drop off, though, in my opinion, from then on. As far as early opportunity,
the other guy that Andrew Cooper was really high on was Elijah Arroyo, simply because the Seattle room. I mean, there's an opportunity for him to elevate above Noah Fant. There's an opportunity for him to come out of the gate as the tight end 1. That's not.
Yeah. Cooper Kupp could be washed. Who knows?
Yeah.
They're still they need some help there. So there we go. That's the tight ends. I think overall, rookies versus vets. The vets are just so undervalued right now. So go out and make some offers. Plenty of guys you can almost get thrown into some deals when there's a rookie pick involved. Especially
if you have your rookie draft coming up. Slide back down that board, pick up extra picks, pick up some of these veterans that are being undervalued, and it's all about assets.
Absolutely. Sweet, man.
Yeah. Well, let's get on out of here.
Appreciate everybody for checking us out on this fine Tuesday. And don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell.
Go play Fast Draft.
Use this code over here. Booth, $50.
BOOTH.
Yes, sir. And Go follow us on X at Big Boned FFB. I'm sure there you can find everything else that we've got going on. You can
Everything.
find me at Dynasty FK, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.
From the Podfather to you, I deeply appreciate you tuning in. And many ask, what can I do? What can I do to help support the hosts, the research they do, the production costs? Go to playerprofiler.com, Dynasty Deluxe, World Famous Draft Kit, Rankings, DFS Dominator, and of course, data analysis. Subscribe to any one of those, and you support all of us and take Player Profiler to the moon.